Today's episode of the Federation's Finest podcast is brought to you by The House, the feature film, now streaming on Tubi. After a freak accident and a night out drinking leaves two of their friends dead, the lives of 6 teens are changed forever with the discovery of a mysterious revive serum that can bring one of their dead back to life, but only one. Now torn into multiple groups and fighting amongst each other, these teens must decide who they are, what they believe in, and what truly is the value of a life. Stream The House, directed by Miles Ross, now on Tubi for free, or head to thehousefeature.com or at thehousefeature on Instagram to learn more. That is thehousefeature.com or at thehousefeature on Instagram to learn more. Hello and welcome to the Federation's Finest. The world is a vampire. I'm your host, Miles. I'm a filmmaker from Seattle, but I'm also a big mech fan. I grew up on Gurren Lagann. I'm currently watching through Gal Geiger and Padalabor with my brother, but I'm also a die-hard Gundam fan at heart. With this show, I'm here to lead 3 Gundam newbies through the series and see if we can figure out what this giant robot thing is all about. We'll be covering this series in my own special order, not quite chronological, but emulating, but not quite following, the experience of discovering the show on Toonami or the internet in the early 2000s. On today's episode, we're covering Mobile Suit Gundam Advent of the Red Comet Gundam Origin, episodes 1, 2, and 3. That is the anime series, not the movies. If you want to watch along with us, you should go watch those. Gentlemen, it is my distinct pleasure to be here. To have you guys here, most importantly. I needed this here today. What's up with y'all? Who else do we got here?
I am Tom, currently piloting a Takugawa heavily in the danger zone, inviting you to make an agility save as I huck my heat vent cores at you. This Alaskan is dying above 80 degrees.
Yeah, your local space cowboy ain't doing too hot. Well, actually, I'm doing very, very hot. Aggressively so. But, still managing to watch Iron-Blooded Orphans as well as this, so
yeah,
happy to be here.
I don't know. For me, I'm completely doing fine with this heat. So, but I'm super familiar with this series, but I'm not super familiar, but kind of get the aspects. I'm currently watching through G Gundam, which is Peak.
Yes,
and
it
no
is.
one can convince me.
Oh, and say your name.
Oh, my name is Kenneth, by the way, or Kenny.
Sweet. Hey, pleasure to have y'all here, even through this silly Seattle heat wave. I'm sure folks in the South are laughing at us. It is 83 right now, so very hot for Seattle. I know if you're from friggin' Arizona, this is nothing, but it is very hot for us. Boys, so happy to have you here today. Just some notes at the top of the show. First of all, I'll just get out of the way in the first place. This is being filmed July 1st, 2025. Gundam is based off of an insightful and kind of deconstructing certain world events. We saw that with the Vietnam War and certain events with the 8th MS team. There are certain world events happening right now that are a bit timely for the subjects that will come up during this podcast. We may address them, we may not. I'm not going to bring them up. If these guys want to, we can. But just to let you know, we are aware those things are happening. They are unraveling before us right now, and we know they're very similar to the things in the show. And yeah, just letting you know, so if we get into any topics about fascism or the destruction of states or unprovoked military thingamajigs, just know we know. Second up, promotion time. Gentlemen, last time we recorded, Tom was gainfully promoted to being our first ensign at the end of the 8th MS team. And I promised you guys as well that that in due time you too would be promoted. Starting our music right now, which you guys can totally hear. It is my distinct pleasure to promote Kenny and Leo equally to the rank of ensign on this podcast. Congratulations, gentlemen.
Yeah, like I should be walking up like Han Solo after the battle of whichever one that was.
Yeah, y'all. I'm putting the laurels around your neck right now. Hey, with this award comes you guys now share the ability with Tom, which you now can see in our server. You now have the ability to once per Gundam series force a one sentence answer out of me. I'll update the people who are a part of that later. But gentlemen, I am so happy that you can do that here, and you have this technically meaningless rank along with the rest of us now. Last thing, just at the top of the show, just some housekeeping. Tom, you still have your kit to pick up your first mobile suit whenever you want to. It is sitting
Yes,
next
I do.
to me. Yes. With that said, boys, I think it's time to jump right into episode 1 of Mobile Suit Gundam Advent of the Red Comet. Just before we do anything here, what's you guys' feelings overall?
This one has Askeladd. I'm into it.
It's definitely interesting comparing this from 8th MS.
Yeah. Made
but
almost 20 years later.
I know, right?
Sweet.
It's a banger.
Yeah, it seems like we've gone back in time.
Yes.
I think we are what 069.
We are in zero.
Nice.
We are in
I think
zero.
it is in that sense.
We're in 0058. But
Oh, never mind. I was
damn it.
off by a lot.
oh, actually, sorry, 68. I am very dumb.
Oh,
68.
come on.
I was even closer.
Sorry, I should have these numbers up. But I guess with that, we'll jump right into episode 1. Child of, in Crunchyroll says Zeon. It is not connected to that. It is Child of Zeon. Zeon.
All right.
Establishing
cool.
that up front. Zeon is its own independent thing. We ain't getting into. Ooh, all right. And we are going to start with a man screaming in his house.
Definitely Guineas's ancestor.
Named Zeon Zoom Daikun. Take it away, fellas. Oh, sorry. Before we do, I'm losing track of what I was gonna say. One last thing. One little element of the show that's gonna be added with Gundam or the Origin that's just gonna be unique to this and hopefully no other series is what I'm going to call canon check. I mentioned before that the show is kind of canon, kind of not. The events and things that overall take place happened, but they dubiously did or did not happen. For your own information and so that things don't get confused in kind of the academic way we're going about this, I will let you know when something is or is not canon to the greater Gundam scape, because the original Gundam series has been remade and retold in a bunch of different ways besides a proper anime covering its events. It's always a prequel or a comic or whatever. So, and this was supposed to be a prequel to a remake of a series that never ended up happening. So take it away with the
Twice
story of
removed.
Zeon. Yeah. Zeon Zoom Daikun screaming in his bedroom, gentlemen.
Yeah, because he thinks he's Jesus and he
Yes.
wants to secede from the earth.
Something about the Earth sphere. I noticed. He said.
Yeah.
And so here's the thing: is as soon as he was like, "I'm Jesus," and he looks at his little kid and he's like, "I'm gonna go tell him what for." It's like, you're about to die, dude.
Well,
Like,
what's his
You're gonna die. Oh, look at that! You had a heart attack on stage. Oh my! What a surprise! You're dead.
what does
Hey,
he what
someone
does
just
he
wrote
say?
his name down.
Ha! Your dad's dead.
What does he say specifically?
He mentioned something about Gaia will make people pay
Autonomy.
as he's getting like crucified. As I have in my notes. It's been a while.
Gotcha.
Having autonomy of its own,
Do you think
apart from Munzo.
So yeah.
you think he wants autonomy from Munzo, or
It seems like he wants autonomy from the Zeons want autonomy from the Federation. So
gotcha? And
seeming how they're in the
Well,
same
he
place.
didn't call them the Federate. He called it Earth Sphere.
called it
yeah,
the Earth
yeah.
Sphere, and he is his first name is Zeon. Zeon
Yes.
Zoom Daikun of the autonomous region of Munzo. The Autonomous Republic of Munzo. he has some kids here too. He has a family, right?
Yeah, he's
two
got
of them.
a.
Yeah.
Yep.
He also seems to be. I mean, we get some names later, but he seems to be in that same kind of noble family cast as Gineas and Aina are later.
Just a
Mm.
bit, yeah.
Like, I mean, at the very least, he is like a strongly charismatic political figure. But the way everything is structured around them, it seems like most of those are influential families fielding like one or two figureheads.
Yeah, definitely see a lot more of that noble sense just all around now.
Do you think? Well, they go ahead and say it. He is the chairman, or at least leader of whatever this Munzo place is.
Yeah.
Do you think he?
Yeah, and then there's a bald guy right behind him wringing his hands like, that chair will be mine. It's like, who do you think caused that heart attack, guys?
Yeah. Well, I mean, before the heart attack, we
It could have
also
been anyone.
we get to see his family. He has a little girl,
Artesia.
whose name is Artesia, and then he has a wife. Who did you catch her name? It's very easy to miss.
I am terrible with names.
It
What was
is
it again?
Tor. Tor. This is beautiful blonde. His beautiful, absolutely non-Aryan
Just
children.
Extremely Aryan children.
And he has a little boy who, I don't know, maybe he's got something special going on.
This boy will commit war crimes.
Casval.
What's his name?
Casval.
Shark?
What's
Casval.
who's Char? This is Casval, guys. Come on. This is specifically Tor
I have my
Daiku.
own tin hat, you son of a bitch.
Okay, lay it out for me.
He's gonna commit various war crimes, and then he is going to fight for the independence of Munzo, and then he is going to gain that fancy little hat. And then nobody's gonna be happy.
Gotcha. Well, hey, well, yeah, like you said, Zeon is assassin. Well, he has a heart attack. He has a heart attack, and Zeon Zoom Daikun. By the way, anyone here know bits of German? The
Yes.
Zoom is a contraction of Zudem or zu einem, roughly meaning for the or to the. So, there's been discussions over the years of like, because obviously we know Zeon is what you guys saw, the name of a place or a location or a group or a political movement, but his first name is Zeon. So he is Zeon of the Daikun family. That is what Zeon Zoom Daikun means. And we've got Casval Rim Daikun and Artesia Som Daikun. But yeah, he gets assassinated, and what else happens?
He was assassinated in front of everyone.
Whoa, he has a heart attack. Sorry, we don't know
Oh,
if he was assassinated.
I mean, yeah, heart attack in front of everyone while trying to make a speech.
Yeah.
Which erupts
Then
chaos.
we get a bit of perspective on the size of a gun tank as it just rolls some protesters.
and what
Big man Blastoise.
Like absolutely just rolls up on them. It's like move or be crushed.
And we get to see as he was assassinated, he was a very popular man
Yes.
in the streets, and there's protesters holding signs. What is on those signs?
One of them I have written down as complete independence for Munzo, but I know there were some other ones that were, yeah.
So, first canon check of many here.
Ah, damn it.
All right,
Seriously?
guys. Yep. Okay. So, I had to dig deep for this, which involved actually talking to like some dudes who knew the show from the series. So, within Gundam canon, the autonomous region of Munzo does not officially exist. We don't have to dance around the pedals right now. Munzo becomes Zeon. They named the place after him. For what regions and why or how, you will have to see. But it is obviously watching the 8th MS team. I'm sure you guys figured that out, right? Yes, no, maybe.
Sure.
Okay, cool. Munzo becomes Zeon. In what way? We'll have to keep watching. But kinda not canon check, because I thought the place was always called Zeon and his first name was Zeon. And I believe most of the Gundam community actually does believe that. That is not true. The place that is Side 3, that was mentioned before, is properly named Munzo. It was, however, renamed to Zeon later, but still keeps the organizational name Munzo. So this place is what would be known as Zeon, where the Zeon people from the 8th MS team came from. It was never called the Autonomous Republic of Munzo. That is a pure creation of the Gundam The Origin, but the name Munzo is from there. Why and how we'll get to in a little bit, but just first canon check for you. All right. I want to talk too much. What?
Yeah, then another shot of Captain Thumbhead over here.
Yeah, what do you catch his name? We get to
Homie, I just called him Captain Thumbhead. It's gonna be a no from me, dog.
Okay.
I did catch the name of Cassilia, who is very much like a World War I cavalry officer vibes. And you know she's going to be sticking around because what is that hair?
So
what is it? What is that?
we get introduced to one of a few families, because there's the Daikun family, which seem to be like the semi-elected, like essentially presidential or probably prime minister-ish family of whatever this place Munzo is that's running that these people live in. There's the Daikun family. You also get to meet, besides the Zombies, who we get to in a sec, who else?
The Rimval.
The Rawls.
The Rawls, led by Jimbo Rawl and
Mr. Mustache Man.
Two Mr. Mustache Men, Jimbo Rawl and Ramba Rawl.
Yes. Rambo Dad and Askeladd.
And lastly, we get possibly the most important family in the Gundam history of things, the Zabi family, which I'm happy you pointed it out, Tom, the thing with Aina and the Sahaline and Guineas. I wish they at least were mentioned. I'll tell you right now, you will never hear about the Sahaline family again in Gundam unless they come up in something new.
Those bastards.
They were another one of these families like this that we just don't hear. But these three families that seem to have kind of this bureaucratic control are the Daikuns, the Raols, and the Zobbies. And our Zobbies are made out of Degwin Zobby, the old bald man patriarch. We've got Giran Zobby, Mr. Purple Hair, no eyebrows. We've got Dozel Zobby, our big man. Cassilia, our queen. And we get a side of a younger kid at the funeral, little Garma, who it seems, unfortunately, because of the misfortune of his birth, is kind of wrapped up into the cruelty of his family members, right?
I mean, dude, there were a lot of names getting thrown at us these episodes.
I was just trying,
I was spending so much trying to be like, all right, this is that family. This is this these guys hate these guys. Like, I'll get names later, man. Right now we're working on who's related to who.
For the most part, it is the Rawls and the Daikuns who have been diminished versus this Zabi family, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Cool.
Lest us not forget that our good man Tom here never called Shiro Amada by his name. He was Ensign Pikachu from the start to the end.
Gotcha.
I think I did call him Shiro a couple times, but he
might have let a couple slip, but for the most part.
Well, I mean, just to go on, what do you think what do you think of these characters individually? You know,
I like Raul,
Jimba or Ramba.
Both.
I like Askeladd, the younger one.
The younger one, yeah.
I think that's
I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah.
However, that dude Jimba, I love his like, I don't know if you would call it a de-evolution or just like his degradation over these 3 episodes.
As he falls into alcoholism,
into madness.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So it also seems at this point that Rombarol and anyone wearing a green uniform is part of the Federation Armed Services.
You think they're Federation?
It's been stated a couple times.
Well, we notice there's the military police of Munzo. There are federal soldiers, but they're not wearing those green uniforms, right? They're wearing different ones.
Well, hold on. I have
Well, I mean, like
so Rombarol talked to the bartender who said he's done being a Fedi lackey, but he'd do something for Ramba anytime. So, like, did Ramba used to be a Fedi? Like,
Do you think, what do you think the political situation is here? Because it seems like Ramba, maybe that's a family uniform. I know, I'm just playing coy. If Ramba's wearing this green thing, we do see the traditional brown.
There are multiple families that are all wearing this green uniform. If we scroll up even to the Zabi portrait that you showed, there's two of them wearing that green uniform. There's the black hardcore Zeon Eagle on the Patriarch, and then my boy Corporate over the right shoulder there is wearing kind of a more Zeon noble thing.
Yeah.
But we saw all these green uniforms on the Zeon afterward.
Yeah. They are also the same. They're the more formal version. That is the Titan buttoned up version of what Yuri was wearing in the 8th MS.
There's another part in one of the later episodes where they come up on some guards and pretend to be, I'm pretty sure they're talking about being Federation soldiers.
Yeah. Do you think, like, maybe they're, like, do you think he's state police, or do you think he's a separate military? Do you think the Federation and Munzo are connected? Because they do have very different uniforms, huh?
Well, all right.
What do you think the political situation here is? Because
clearly they're with the independence thing going on. They're really trying to separate themselves.
Do you think
Miles, we're right at the beginning, and you're starting to tug on the tinfoil hat thing that's been building that covers all of the episodes and the information that you fed me with.
Oh yeah, if we can go anywhere. Go, please.
So
the tinfoil is still in the box.
Please drop tinfoil anytime.
At this current moment, I think that this area, if it is not what is it, Munzo, if Munzo is not their own home name for side 3, if it's just a part of side 3, I feel like it is the whole thing.
Okay, you think Munzo's all of side 3?
I'm assuming it's part, like either part or the majority of side 3, that then this would be like Texas trying to secede from the Union. Like, hey, we can be self-sufficient on our own. We don't need the Earth sphere, which, Miles, my huge problem with some of the information you fed me in this is that the system doesn't work because you need Earth for complex biologics. So you can't secede from Earth sphere, man, because it has stuff you can't make.
People at home, please. He's getting very close. Keep it in your pants. Yeah. Any of you other guys got any thoughts on that? All right, I'm gonna cut you off. Please.
No, someone else jump in. Let me brew for a bit.
Yeah, relax and calm down.
So we see Ramba in the we'll just call him the green shirts versus the gray shirts. He does break through this barricade of what it looks like traditional Federation guys that are holding signs that say stop, along with his guys who are wearing green uniforms.
We have Cassilia and others in red shirts.
Yeah, and she's wearing like a pink version of the she got the girl version of the Zeon uniform, but it is certainly has the Munzo Zeon uniform here.
I mean, as you said, as they do females in this series, they had to make it objectively obvious.
Yeah, we had to know she's a girl, guys.
Trouble.
This is about
there's actually there's a shot of her later that I almost texted you of just really again Miles again.
They're as they're going into this crowd, we can see they already seemingly have their own flag that's very different from the Federation flag that's flying in the streets, right?
Yeah.
And it says Earthnoids go home, we support Daikun and Munzo on those flags as they're being led by these horses.
even
Also,
catch
space
that.
horses.
Yeah, space
Yeah.
horses.
There is also a brief shot of just a proper, just basic static artillery piece. So you lied to me. Zeon can build basic functional equipment.
Oh, I never said they couldn't. I said clearly the DOP is a
Like
monstrosity of
they're-
engineering.
in those shots you just posted right there, like clearly they're riding in properly built armored personnel carriers. Like,
Do you think?
Zeon can build proper things, or I don't know, maybe it's not Zeon yet, and as soon as they're like, let's build our own stuff because the Earth things are stupid.
Stop.
It's like, hey, the Earth stuff was built that way for a reason, so like, don't add a jet to a tank just because you can.
What's
There's a reason we didn't do it.
Do you think this is like Italy or Israel buying like our military surplus, or do you think they are constructed there in space? Or
I think this is like America calling it freedom fries because fuck the French.
Gotcha. Well, hey, like you said, we get to meet Cassilia a little bit, who actually helps out save the kids here. To an embarrassed Ramba Rao's dismay. And she has a little interaction with Tor and the kids, right, where she comes and takes off this big fancy helmet she's been wearing the whole time and pulls up to the car, and Tor's like, oh, it's a female Zeon officer, or
I don't know if fancy is what you would call that helmet, but it is certainly a design choice.
Certainly
It's very patrician.
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, she does just come up to the window and just say hello.
Yeah.
Hello, fancy Aryan family in this armored limousine. I'm taking you into protective custody.
Do you think so? Clearly, he was, we'll just say Zeon was the leader of Munzo here. The wiki.
Yeah, the entire narrative that is now spawning is that whoever controls his children controls the political movement.
Yeah. Do you think these other guys had any power, or what do you think do you think this was like a congressional thing? All three of these families shared power. Where would the Sahalins?
I think you have Zeon Zoom Daikum, who is at least founder or leader of this movement, or became leader or most popular among this movement, and then you have the Zabi and Rawl families below them, who are kind of representing the two different sects of this ideology, and that is going to be the fight that we're about to get into, I think, is our green shirts versus red shirts of the two sides of my father's legacy. One of them, I commit war crimes. The other one, I commit war crimes for peace.
Fascinating. What do you think of Cassilia and Rauld, or do you think these families like each other, or what?
Cassilia would
not.
order a napalm strike on a village just to watch it burn.
For a corn chip, bro. Like, she just wants to watch it burn.
Oh, you think she's just straight up a sociopath?
Clearly, one family's trying to care one for one.
Yeah.
The other one is like, I can't wait to take advantage of this shit.
So do you
Yeah.
think they're all morally ambiguous, or do you think one's good, or what?
I think the Zabi family made their fortune selling beans during a war, dude.
Okay.
Like,
They definitely
They-
seem a little out of place.
they are power at all cost.
Okay. And what about the
I mean,
Daikuns?
what's upcoming kind of proves it.
Raw
but yeah.
the Rawl family seems much more establishment. Like, our power comes from having followed the rules for generations.
Oh, you think they're old money?
Not necessarily old money. As like, they could even be new money, but like new money that moved up steadily. Like-
Gotcha.
Like a generational cop family or a generational military family in that way.
Okay. Do you think because he is apparent? Well, it's very weird because we mentioned Cassilia has military police, or they have military police, and the Rawls also. Do you think that each one of these groups controls like a section of has like their own armed forces, or do you think the Rawls were in charge of the
I
military?
mean,
and then...
a noble house guard would not be outside of the realm of possibility. But it seems that Rambaral has a little more military access and training than others.
yeah.
Just a bit.
Cassilia had her horseman brigade though. she did have her
Well,
horsemen.
yeah, but that's show, not function, which fits for her family and her personality.
Gotcha.
Especially for just what she was trying to
Like-
do, because like it literally, she shows up, fires a couple shots into the air, has a small conversation, and then it just cuts to later at night,
And gets the protesters. Yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, push the protesters off
to
the
where
car.
she just gets absolutely whopped.
yeah. So I mean, the next scene, she gets slapped by her brother Sosro, as we have there on the right, Dozel, Cassilia in the middle, Sosro there on the left, and Girin on the far left there. This is about 9 minutes into the episode 1. And yeah, Sosro they're talking about how they handled Daikun's kids, and Sosro straight up slaps his sister. Which we'll see the recompense is about. But do you have any thoughts on this family and their way of doing things?
I mean, I
fuck
wouldn't
ton of
just
infighting.
stand there if a dude like that slapped me like that, but that's just me.
Yeah, I mean, we're not supposed to hit girls, no less your sister, and that's a very bad no, huh?
I mean, I don't know. I'm against physical violence.
Yeah.
However,
Lannister.
And Dozel seems friggin' oh, you think they're like the Lannisters, huh?
I mean, a bit.
Wait, what happens next, if you remember?
One of my favorite moments of this entire three-part or 3-episode bit you gave us,
Oh,
which is the line, "You'll never survive if you," and then just car bomb.
yeah, so
Just
Like his last words are, "You'll never survive if you," explosion.
well, sorry to cut you off there. I guess we're skipping past the funeral.
Car bomb.
No, it's fine. Yeah, they go to Daikun's funeral.
Daikun's funeral, and there's a
and-
little
and
snobby boy, a little
Dozel?
blue-haired
I
bastard.
must have passed, right?
Dozel and Sosro are in the car. Sorry, I'm talking over people. And Sosro gets exploded
Car
right
bomb.
right next
bomb.
And somehow Mongo right next to him survives.
Mongo
Right?
no
Like-
re
He just walks out with a like partially exploded cigar in his mouth and cartoon ducks floating over his head, and it's like, what just happened?
All right,
Built
so canon check.
Really though, built different.
Just built
For
different.
real.
Yeah, I remember you messaged me, Tom, and you were like,
Yeah.
how the hell did he survive? And I'm like, I do not have an answer for you. Dozel's just built different.
Yeah, no, that's insane.
All right, canon check at about 12 minutes 4 seconds into this episode, boys. So actually, this is a not canon check. Let's talk about Sosro Zabi. So a lot of people who watch Gundam the Origin, if you watch the original Mobile Suit Gundam, you know our Zabi family: Degwin, Dozel, Cassilia, Garma, and Girin. A lot of people watch Gundam the Origin with its many differences and canonical changes and assume that Sosro was a creation exclusively for this show. The answer is he actually is not. Despite how crazy it is and the fact that we never see him in original Mobile Suit Gundam, which takes place after this, he is mentioned in the Mobile Suit Gundam novel published in 1979. And essentially these same events happen. He's in the car and he gets blown up, except not quite. Sosro's assassination is like handled differently in like a bunch of different pieces of media. There's a version where he gets like poisoned. There's a version where it's implied Girin killed him. There's a version where he kind of just disappears. This car bomb is the accepted version against most of the plans. Was it a book? There is a manga called Mobile Suit Gundam, The Plot to Assassinate Girin, where they talk about him getting assassinated, and it kind of makes it sound out like something else happened. Regardless of what happened, whether the car bomb is canon or not, Sosro dies. Sosro always dies. And he is gone there. They had a fourth missing brother that we never got to see. All right, canon check over. Who do you think killed him, guys? Absolutely no clue who could have killed, who
Yeah, it couldn't
Equal fights,
possibly
equal
have been a
rights.
member of his own family.
No clue. I love the little moment after they're wondering, after Dozel pops out wondering like who killed his brother, and we get this moment of poor little Garma in the car screaming like ah, and then Cassilia is like, calm yourself, Garma. A zombie man must be strong.
And then I think we go back to the Aryan family.
Yeah,
For
the
the
Daikuns.
Yeah, which Miles, I know from other stuff that this is one of your favorite characters. But as a young girl, I hate her.
Okay,
She named her she named her cat Lucifer.
so yeah, so this
Really?
so I do
Oh,
not
boy.
know.
Really?
I do not know where that came from. I don't even know if that's canon. I remember watching this in my fairly God-fearing house and had to turn down the volume when Lucifer came up. But yeah, her cat, little Artesia and Casval's cat, who was left at their old place because they're now being hosted and protected by the Rawls. Their cat's name was Lucifer, the devil.
Yeah, there's stuff in the other episodes that is mainly the reasons I don't like her, especially as a young child. We'll see if she gets better.
Well,
but
she is a little girl
I'm
who's
generally not a fan of how young children are portrayed in any animated thing. But
she's a young girl who just lived through 2 major assassinations. You know,
yeah,
it's been a
just
rough.
like, all I want is my little cat. Oh no, I forgot to tell him he scratches strangers. Do 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 do.
Claws up poor Ramba. But we do get like a nice little relationship here because it seems like the Rawls legitimately care about their buddies, the Daikuns. Would you say they're like
Yeah.
more politically
The
closer?
only caring family, yeah.
I think they are more in line with what Daikun intended from his political movement, and that the Zombies are more aligned with what the political movement what they could use that movement to benefit from, or how it could benefit them. I think the Rawls are genuinely trying to protect them, or at least protect the legacy of Daikun.
Yeah. By the way, just because I know someone's bringing it up, technically, the reason he's named Lucifer is because Lucifer means light bringer, and then Lucifer
Yes,
was a
I'm
good
aware.
guy, and then he fell to being evil. I don't know why the hell the
That's how that
cat's.
goes.
I don't know why the cat's name is still Lucifer though, but that's
Yeah,
their cat.
I mean, who's telling this little girl, like, you know what a great pet name would be? Beelzebub.
Yeah, right. I named my cat Snowball. I don't know about what they're feeding this little chick, but ain't right.
But he goes off to get the cat, and
We do get a mention. I don't know if it's in this scene or the next, but we do get a mention of the Zaku family.
Zaku.
I believe.
I don't remember that. Maybe you just
Okay,
misheard Zabi.
I may have misheard it.
Yeah,
It may have been
Is it a
Zabi,
zombie
but
family?
I thought I heard Zaku.
yeah. Sorry, there's
But-
there's no Zaku family as well as
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, not trying to pull your leg there.
Yeah.
All funny names, all funny Z names that are vaguely Germanic but not really, huh? What do you think's up with that?
Some Attack on Titan shit, man.
Oh, you think this is like Eren Yeager for no reason?
Well, not okay. No spoilers, but nothing's for no reason in that show.
Yeah. Do you think all the space Austrian stuff is intentional or
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Do they seem very fascist in their looking here, or do you think the zombies are more fascist in their look and the Daikuns aren't, or do you think the Rawls are more fascist in their kind?
The zombies are more fascist. The Rawls appear more militant communist.
Oh, you know, I never thought about that. They do with the buttoned up uniforms. This does seem like democracy, fascism, and then communism, huh?
I mean, it's a old school it's a Prussian fascism.
Yeah. We get this nice little conversation too at about 1521 of Girin and his dad and his brother talking about the flames in the cities burning down as it devolves into protests. Cough, cough.
As they're trying to get rid of a certain family at that point, yeah.
Yeah. Do you think they're like legit just like a monarchy? That Daikun's bloodline would carry on what's going on, or do you think this is there's any sort of elections that happen here?
I mean,
Are there elections in Munzo, Zeon, whatever you want to call this?
Yes,
Yeah.
because there seem to be attempts to curry political favor and maintain control of the narrative with the masses.
Mm.
Because there's no reason to hold the family of a political rival after their death unless there's some gain from that.
Yeah.
Like either through legitimacy to the crown or whatever. But I think it's more the position of like they
Do you think this family
they,
serves?
they
Hold on.
seem more like merchant nobles that then have shifted into feudal lords, if that makes sense.
Gotcha. Well, we go to a little place called Club Eden, and we get to see Ramba hanging out with his very pretty, also very Aryan, blue-eyed looking girlfriend who looks very much
Yeah,
like
but
his
she
wife.
rocks.
Yeah, Haman.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, she's awesome, huh? As he comes in with scratches on his face. And she's like, hey, buddy, calm down.
Also, this is where you did talk about like that there's like a federation part of this as well. Like I don't feel like
Yeah.
being a federation lackey, so there's that there.
Yeah, do you
Well.
think he's like the green unit? Do you think they have to answer to the Federation, or do you think they're fully separate from them now or never? Clearly, in the 8th MS team, Zeon is its own thing. So
They could be a local auxiliary force. That would make sense. If it was like you are under the Earth, like if the Earth Federation calls you, you guys come and help out. But we trust the governing of your area to your own local auxiliary, which was probably a concession in early attempts to secede.
yeah. Well, I mean, in the next scene, we get to see. Cassilia straight up say that the Degwin somehow became the new chairman. I'm not sure if they did. They have a representative government like here in the U.S. or if the people elected him, but Degwin did take the reins of being the leader of this place.
Yeah, and then she gets beaten in an argument by a 10-year-old.
Yeah.
Damn.
Well, we get
He just out logics her.
So we'll talk about it later. I do not want to say what it is now, but there is a theory that persists throughout the Gundam fan base of what this show is and what it actually is and why there are canonical things that are different. I'll just say it. No, I won't say it. Never mind. There, if you can figure it out, you get a cookie, and maybe I'll give you like 50 points towards a promotion at some point. But this show really makes that Casval kid look friggin' awesome, right? As Uncle Jimba's tweaking out in the hallway, and then we get to see him literally just get him win a battle of wits against. How old do you think Cassilia is here?
Oh.
20s? I don't know.
Yeah, I'll give you early 20s.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'll give you like 23.
So
20.
she's old. She's very mature for her age. She is supposed to be 19 here.
Oh,
I'll buy that.
Yeah,
All right. Sure.
but this little
Still
kid,
get a 10-year-old.
this little blue-eyed kid, Casval, who has not done much all throughout these episodes, friggin' verbally tears her down, huh?
yeah.
This whole thing.
Yeah, definitely different from how he's been like held himself before, but it is good to see him just in a one-on-one situation like this and just demolish her verbally.
And you get to see Cassilia, because it seems like the Saucerer was when he slapped Cassilia and then mysteriously died. He was telling her like, hey, you need to go just kill those kids, and she's like, no, we need to go talk to them to get them on our side. She really likes to negotiate, doesn't she, huh?
She definitely wanted to, and you know, maybe she should have listened to the man who slapped her.
Was this where that shot you were talking about with her or something before, Tom, came up, or was that earlier?
No, that's later. It's definitely in my notes when it happens. Let me scroll.
But we do get this
The
whole sequence of
yeah.
her talking with this child and arguing, and then eventually she grabs him and puts friggin' handcuffs on him.
It is in episode 2.
Okay,
It is
okay,
about
cool.
a good chunk through.
But we can jump to episode 2 because this ends off with her trying to give him like the verbal talking point of you're a child, you can't get away with me, and Lil Cassavol has this moment of take these handcuffs.
No, fuck you.
See, my vibe was I just can't wait to be king.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah, yeah, with a bit more of a, like you said, Prussian kind of vibe to it. Yeah.
like this kid is like that immediate. I was like, this kid will commit war crimes. Like,
Oh yeah.
And just before we get to it, since we never talk about the credits, what do y'all think of our outro credit sequence here with all these like fine like paintings and like regal paintings of the zombies and the daikuns and whatnot?
Prussian shit.
Prussian shit. No, art is art.
Yeah, there's a shot where it's Cassavol in the ensuing episodes. It's Cassavol and Artesia in the gun tank. And there's a little red star behind his head. Yeah. But yeah, it looks very like 20th century Ruski to me. But if we can go to episode 2, canon check just right off the bat. Okay, you have some.
I was just gonna say it opens with like Super Go.
Oh yeah,
Like,
whatever he's playing.
Hey, he's playing Go, but with like holographic koi fish and stuff.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But
Never
and then we get Elena Tyrell, who's like, "Hey, Aryans, I'm sending you to live in the tower." Dun, dun, dun. And Miles, I believe she mentions that the children or Daikum himself are second generation immigrants.
Oh yeah, that too. I
Yeah.
took note of that as well.
I did not catch that.
Which
we talking about
generation
the
is the
lady in the
second
wheelchair?
generation immigrant? Yeah. So I'm assuming that she would be in the first generation, and then Daikum would be second, so his children would be third generation.
I think you may be right.
Yeah, Madame Roselia.
Okay.
Roselia.
Elena Tyrell.
So
So
just to get it off before we go any further into this, canon check right off the bat most of this episode. Here's the deal.
I'm okay with that. This was my least favorite episode, I think.
Okay,
Yeah,
everything with the gun tanks and Cassavol piloting the gun tank and for a second and firing, and then the military getting scared and the plot to sneak them away. Technically did not happen in Gundam lore. What happened is the big thing that this episode kind of covers and the big events for everything, and I'm just giving this here so you guys don't feel like you have to get caught up on things or not. Cassavol and Artesia escape. I don't even think in the lore it necessarily says that Hamon did it, that Hamon and Ramba were part of that, but if you want to deduce that they were part of that, I think that's fine. But that part of the timeline, everything with them using the gun tanks to sneak them out to them getting into the cargo bay, 100% dubiously canon. All we know is that they snuck out and had to go to Earth afterwards with Jim Barral, under Jim Barral's patronage.
But is the map I was given canon?
Yes, we'll get trust me, after that we'll get to that. So carry on where you were. I just had to let you know.
Yeah, they're talking about trying to secede from Earth sphere control, I think. And then we cut to I hadn't realized he's Askeladd at this point, so I hadn't given him a name. But Rambaral, I believe, walks in and is just like, "Where's all the help?" Which is such a hilarious reaction for me.
It seems they've
and then he
lost their
finds
fortune.
his dad just bugging out in a closet with all the guns.
Fucking old man going nuts.
Like, this man has like machine guns and an RPG in a like 5x5 cupboard under the stairs.
Yeah.
Like, he is he is ready. But they're fleeing to Earth.
Yeah.
Which, interesting.
It seems some time has passed. Do you think this is days, months, weeks? The Rawls have assumedly
Weeks,
lost
at least.
all their money.
Yeah.
yeah.
Weeks at least. But I would assume this is a steady fight of attrition against the zombie propaganda machine, kind of steadily putting political pressure on the Raw family.
Yeah. And the Daikuns that have nothing now, it seems. They don't even have their house anymore, huh?
Yeah. And then we get some... I have a lot of problems with this scene. One, mom tells the child, like, if you're good, I'll come visit you on Earth, which you are setting her up for some serious trauma.
Oh, yeah.
Because mom, we all know you're staying behind, and we all know you're not getting out. This child is never seeing you again.
In 50
so telling them to count to 100 moons, and then I'll show up if you're good. Like, when you don't show up because you're a pile of bones, what do you think's gonna happen to her? How's that gonna fuck with her head?
Yeah, she did not really plan this one out, did she?
Do you think she's gonna war crime?
No,
no.
Going off
because
of the basis of the 8th MS team and like using Genius and Ina as the example here, like the male obviously committed the war crimes and like almost seemingly wanted to, whereas the girl kind of wanted to fight for peace, and I kind of think that might happen here.
Well, we also get that later in their gun tank escape, where I'm just gonna call him Adolf from now on. Adolf here goes a little like just red fog of war, and he's like, "Give me the shot! I want the shot!" And gets a little hardcore in there until his sister is like, "No, your face is scary when you fight."
Yeah. So what we know is that using Jimba Rawls' resources, and I'd like to think this very, very hot Haman in this Federation military uniform. She shows up at the base. They escape and they get to Earth. Everything with the gun tanks and the battle in the street, unfortunately, is not necessarily canon. If you want to believe it is, go nuts. But
I mean, yeah, that's
I'll
what I'm
believe it
going
is.
off. Yeah, I'll believe it is. Fuck it. This is what I saw. A little bastard just pulled an Anakin Skywalker and the fucking what was it? The Federation.
I do have in my notes right here that green is local forces then.
Yeah.
And these tan or gray or whatever that is Federation.
yeah.
Which, did we ever see Ensign Pikachu or any of the 8th MS team in tan?
Yes.
'Cause I think we only saw
Yes, in the
Office.
beginning.
Yeah. So that is what she is wearing, is like the general, I don't know the words, but like the typical gear military uniform. It's
Okay, I just don't remember seeing anyone other than officers in tan.
Yeah, Federation is usually black, tan, black, and red, and then Zeon is green and gold. There will be variants, as you'll see. But yeah, she breaks them out, and we have our fun tank sequence.
Yeah, and classic Japanese anime moment of, we're gonna extort you, and what do we want you to pay with? I want you to pay with your body.
And
then she just kicks them right in the nuts and just demolishes those dudes. I like this chick.
Yeah,
I like her a lot.
Her name is Crowley Haman. By the way, if I mess up and call her
All right,
Haman,
Crowley?
Crowley. Her name is Crowley.
All right.
What?
All right.
CRO.
Well, we have a cat named Lucifer and now Crowley.
Is Crowley from something?
Yes, Crowley is a famous occultist in London.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I'll send you some stuff later.
Okay, that's cool.
Sure.
Sure.
Okay, is this not a fun person? Okay.
Nah, man.
Okay. But yeah, her name is Crowley Haman.
Even spelled the same. All right.
Yep. Really tough
I like
lady.
her, though.
Really cool. Yeah.
Very like French Resistance vibes.
Gotcha.
Like, not from the appearance at all, but actions.
Yeah.
But Miles, because this happens in the middle of the gun tank chase, we need to talk about it.
Sure.
First of all, called it giant cigar-shaped ship.
Yeah.
What I was not aware of, and is that these are sides. These giant cigar-shaped ships. They are not generation ships, which means they're not going anywhere. They seem to be hanging out in the Sol system, and there are. They seem to be hanging out in the Sol system. I have more notes later.
Are you?
But because we just have a look at the ship now, I think the map is later.
Yeah, well, we can if y'all are finished with the episode, because like I said, most of this isn't canon. The stuff that is canon is that the kids escape. They go into space, and Hamon and Ramba like get picked up, and Cassilia's like, I could have you two arrested, and they're like, okay, do it. And the little Artesia and Casval fly and get to see the Earth for the first time. In the moon. They've never seen the moon before. Alright. So, part of the reason why I took my slow-ass time with that first part of the episode is because I knew I'd have to do this in the middle. I know, I'm sorry. I know I took my time, Tom. We are going to jump into our research right now. Unless you guys have anything left to say about episode 2.
One thing is, as they're leaving, the lasers coming out of that, is that like a repulsor field shoving the ship away, or are those just like taxiing guidelines?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'd manage to guess, just for right now, before we totally get our explanation someday, those are taxiing guidelines for spaceships docking.
Also seems to have multiple docking bays, so these are definitely more stations than ships.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we missed it the first time, boys, but space noids.
Yep, space noids
is our term for these people who live in space and are not affected at all physiologically by the low gravity.
And Earth noids. Yeah, and what were you guys' thoughts when you saw those big structures there for the first time? Because there's two of them right next to each other, right there. I'll let you know right now that big one they just came out of was Munzo.
I mean, I kind of knew, especially on
it makes sense. I mean, because
from 8th MS team. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, from 8th MS team, and just like, because like it definitely seemed to have this like cylindrical type of just atmosphere with like the background of everything.
Yeah, but here's my problem with this.
Mm-hmm.
Where are all of these resources coming from? Because the whole explanation for why these exist is that we destroyed Earth's biosphere or something along those lines. We dirtied the Earth.
Well,
where are all these resources coming from?
Are you guys ready for answers and a little bit of Miles talking for a little bit?
Let me scroll to other parts of my notes because I think my question is, are you going to talk about whatever those damn pyramids on the map are?
Let's talk about things. Leo, Kenny, which one of you would like to read in a second?
It is in episode 3 that I find the orbital maps.
Yeah. You got it, Leo?
I'll take it.
All right, don't look at that till I tell you to. There are hard spoilers on that page. All right. Who's ready for me to share my screen, and let's get into the discussion of how space colonies work in Gundam. Audience at home, listen on in. I'll be telling where I'm getting my resources from. Let's start off. Oh. Sorry, I'm having GPU issues. All right, who can see my screen right now?
See it.
All right. Leo, can you see it?
Yeah.
Tom, can you see it?
Yeah.
So,
and I had questions.
I know. Sorry.
I had because go with your explanation. I'll wait until you explain all of the Gundamness before I get into the science you're not talking about.
Okay, I'm gonna be talking for a minute, so wait till this is done, and then we'll do questions and then episode 3. So, since this is properly explained in Gundam books and stuff, it is kind of explained in the show, but we'll do it right now. So, in astrophysics, there is something called a Lagrange point, which is the optimal place for taking off around a star or celestial orbiting body. Specifically right now, if you look at the Wikipedia page for Lagrange points, in the celestial mechanics, the Lagrange points or Lagrangian points are points of equilibrium for small objects under the gravitational influence of 2 orbiting bodies. Mathematically, this involves the solution of the restricted 3-body problem, if you know that book or TV show. So essentially, when you're leaving space in a rocket ship, how many of y'all have been to Cape Canaveral in Florida or anywhere near there? So, one of the big things is that when you leave Earth even, there are certain places on Earth near the equator where it is easier to take off because gravity technically is a little bit less, which means nothing to you or me, the human or muskrat or mosquito being there on the ground, but is very, very useful for not having to burn too much fuel when you are leaving space. Also, when you are in space, there are certain Lagrange points or places where gravity is at its weakness around a celestial body that are optimal for taking off from it. So if you think of...
That is not what a Lagrange point is.
Okay, go on, Tom.
No, a Lagrange point, it literally right there at the top of it, man. It says it, but a Lagrange point is the point between 2 spots where it balances out.
Yeah.
So one of our Lagrange points is the point between the Earth and the Moon.
Yes.
The purpose of a Lagrange point is you can stick something there, and it's not hard to keep it there.
It's not hard to keep it there.
It's not any easier to accelerate it or move it from that point. It's easier to keep it in
there.
That point.
Yes, yes. It is also the optimal place for if you were setting up a space colony to put it right there for further reaching off into space.
Yeah,
essentially, if you were to have a move there,
it's hard not to move it, or it's hard to move it out of that.
So,
or easier to keep it there.
If we were to, just for the audience at home that we're visualizing this for, we have our sun right there in the center, and then we have Lagrange 1 and 2, which are on opposite sides of Earth, and then Lagrange 4, 3, and 5, which are equal distances away from either of those points. So, specifically, in reference to Gundam, can y'all see this map? Let's turn to our map of sides in Gundam right here with side 1, side 2, side 3, side 4, side 5, and side 6, and also the Moon and Luna 2, and side 7 at each Lagrange point around Earth and our sun here. So in Gundam, Leo, do you want to take this off?
Sure thing. Where am I starting?
Space colony at the top. When I say stop, just stop reading.
In the Universal Century timeline, space colonies are giant artificial structures in space designed to house large-scale human habitation. The Earth Federation was responsible for the construction of all of the inhabited space colonies within the Earth sphere, and around 10 billion people were space colony residents by the outbreak of the One-Year War.
All right, pause. So, the space colonies you see in Gundam is a place where almost 10 billion people live. Do you have a question of how many people live on Earth?
Yeah, man.
I'll let you know right now, that number is very dubious, but in most Gundam fans, it is understood that about 1 billion people live on Earth and 10 billion people live in space on these space colonies.
That makes sense.
Yeah. These colonies are built around the Lagrange points around Earth specifically, as they make good places to put a colony there and keep it set and also take off. And these places were called sides. Leo, do you want to go to locations and read till I tell you to stop?
Alrighty. Space colonies are placed at the 5 gravitationally stable regions in the Earth-Moon system, known as Lagrangian points. In most cases, each Lagrangian point can accommodate a significant number of space colonies, and the closely clustered group of neighboring colonies are known collectively as a side. It is possible to have 2 sides occupying the same Lagrangian point in a binary system like orbit to one another, as in the case of Lagrangian points 4 and 5.
All right, stop. So, what these space colonies are in Gundam, sorry, I explained this poorly. So, who here thought that each one of these things, when you looked at this initial thing, or we talked about before, that sides were colonies, right?
Yeah.
Sides are not colonies. Sides are clusters of hundreds to possibly thousands of colonies we don't know, and it actually changes depending on the sides, that are essentially each their own independent, semi-independent nation. They're all a little bit submissive to the Earth sphere, to the Earth Federation government, but they each are kind of their own regional countries, except they aren't. That's a lie, because it depends on different sides. So, do I want to say this or do I not? When we get to Gundam, one of the things you'll learn early on is that Side 6 is a neutral party. So, Side 3 over here is Munzo, is Zeon, and they're fighting Earth. Side 6 is neutral to all this, but asterisk, if you go over to where they're talking about Texas Colony and all that, Texas Colony is its own individual colony that is also its own, like, it's basically like a private island, like a billionaire brought a private island. There are also places like Side 6 where it is just the cluster of the hundreds of colonies and they are essentially one nation or region. And then there's also places where there are individual clusters that are grouped together within sides that are their own regions, and the side governments are kind of loose. How many of you guys know what the Holy Roman Empire is?
Bruh.
This is a Holy Roman Empire situation. All you got to know is that these are places that the Earth Federation government set up, and are essentially their own independent space nations that are made up of millions of colonies. Sometimes these colonies are their own location, sometimes they aren't. Tom, you had something to say.
Where do these resources come from?
We'll get to that soon. Leo, want to keep reading? Lagrangian point, L1.
Lagrangian point L1 is located between the Earth and the Moon directly over the latter's near side, and is one of the 2 nearest Lagrangian points to the Moon. It is the home of Side 4. Lagrangian point 2 is located directly to the far side of the Moon. It is the other one of the 2 nearest Lagrangian points to the Moon, and the farthest one from the Earth. It is the home of Side 3.
Stop for a second. So Side 3, where Zeon is the farthest from Earth. It is on the exact opposite side of the Moon in our diagram. We are on Gundam Wiki Space Colonies. Keep reading, Leo.
Lagrangian point 3, L3, is located to the side of the Earth away from the Moon, just slightly outside of the Moon's orbit. It is the home of Side 7 and the migrated asteroid Luna 2. Lagrangian point 4 and 5 roughly share the Moon's orbit, located symmetrically ahead and behind it at a 60-degree angle from Earth's center mass. They are the homes of Side 2 and 5 and Sides 1 and 6, respectively.
So, hey, remember our boy Shiro and Trigger Happy Trevor, Mikael? They're from here.
Yeah, they're from Side 2.
Yep, they're from Side 2 in Zeon/Munzo. We'll get to Munzo Zeon. I'm just spoiling that right now, which is not really spoiler. You can figure it out. Right over here. How do you think this galactic, this little, well, not galactic, this solar, not even solar, Earth orbit war is taking place?
What do you mean, how is it taking place?
What do you think the mechanics of how this war is being carried out is happening?
I mean, again, where do these resources come from? So the answer in my head right now is the war is a war over who controls Earth.
And why would they want to control Earth?
Because that's where the
That's where
resources are.
Yeah.
Surprise, there's no liquid water in space, bitch.
So, so if you guys haven't figured it out, we have our own calendar. Right now we're in 0068. The other series took place in 0079. What do you think those numbers correlate to? Of
The
this new
year it
calendar?
came out.
Yeah, they correlate to the year Gundam came out. I'll let you know right now, 0000, or was it 001? I forget, was the first year when humanity started going into space and established colonies. So, any thoughts on that before we carry on?
Okay, so that explains the second generation colonist thing.
Yeah.
So,
Mm-hmm.
okay, I'm not even gonna get it.
You had thoughts about
The-
the name Space Noid and Earth Noid earlier too, huh?
Yeah, and the fact that there's no. One of my favorite parts of the Expanse series is that there's like Belter Creel develops, but it's also their bodies are physically different from people who grew up down a gravity well. If you grew up in lower zero gravity, it would have a significant effect on your development.
Yeah. Let's keep breathing.
And
Oh, sorry.
no,
keep going,
sorry,
keep
like
going.
spin gravity can only get you so much, man.
Yeah. So let's go to names. So Leo, to avoid spoilers and for you guys too, because we're getting close to time here. So let's just keep going. I'm gonna have you read these things, these details of. I'm gonna have you read the sides, which are these clusters of colonies. Say the name, and then also say like a sentence or so. Probably I'll tell you to stop. When to stop. Okay. Start with side
Alright.
one.
Side 1, also called Zon, is located at the Lagrangian point 5 and serves as the Earth Federation's administrative center in space.
Stop.
Side 2, also called Hot,
Hot? I don't know.
sure, is located at L4. It was one of the first sides attacked by Zeon during the 1-week battle.
Stop. Side 3.
Side 3, also called Munzo, is located behind the moon at L2. Side 3 was the only side to never use the open type colonies.
Okay.
You want me to keep going?
Keep going.
They instead used closed type colonies, which removed the glass sky panels and was a completely solid cylinder with no open view to space. This allowed each colony to house greater capacities of people.
All right. Side 4. Scroll all the way down.
Side 4, also called Moor, sometimes spelt as Mua, was initially located at L5 during the reorganization
Okay.
of
Stop.
sides.
Sorry, my bad. Side 5.
Side 5, also called Loom, was initially located at L1 during
Stop.
the reorganization.
All right. Cool.
Side 6,
Don't worry about
Okay.
that.
Side 6, also called Rhea, or also spelt as Leah, is located at L4. Side 6 declared autonomy from the Earth Federation on April UC 0077.
Stop. Side 7.
Side 7, also called Noah, is located at L3. At the time of the 1-year war, Side 7 was still being constructed and consisted of only a single incomplete space colony that housed a Federation R&D base involved with the classified Operation V or
Stop.
5.
Yeah. And we don't worry about side 8. There are also other solid colonies that are kind of mentioned that are not necessarily important to us right now. They'll come up later. But this is our Earth sphere. And then, although it looks really confusing, like it seems like these colonies these are giant individual space colonies. Each one of these things here represents hundreds to thousands of space colonies that collectively hold about 10 billion people in space at a time. Because we start.
Sorry, is Solomon also a captured asteroid?
Just shut up. Don't look at Solomon yet. Shut up. Shh, don't think.
I am.
Don't look at Solomon yet. Don't look at. So don't think. Do not think that word yet.
Dude, literally most of my
Luna
notes of this
2.
map is what the fuck is Solomon.
What is Solomon?
I could figure out Luna 2 pretty easy, but
What?
most of my notes are theory crafting on what is Solomon.
What is Solomon, bro? All right, let's move on. All right, hey guys, let's talk about the O'Neill cylinder. We're gonna speed through this. Tom, would you like to read?
It's supposed to be a generation ship, though.
Read. Scroll through. I'll tell you where to skip to if you want to help with this.
You gotta zoom in a bit. An O'Neill cylinder is a space settlement concept proposed by American physicist Gerard K. O'Neill in his 1970 book, The High Frontier: Human Colonies in Space.
Stop for a second.
O'Neill,
When was Gundam made?
a little bit after that, yeah.
1979. So they literally they took this entire thing straight from this design that this guy made, which is not me trashing on Bandai. If we scroll down to this picture right here, hey, remember that little thing in episode, what was that, 6 of the 8th MS team when Shiro was, when you're like, what is that thing where there's all these different islands in space?
This is exactly what I thought it was.
This is our Gundam space colony. It is an O'Neill cylinder. Let's read a little bit, but we gotta scroll through since we're burning time. Read that second paragraph, Tom.
An O'Neill cylinder would consist of 2 counter-rotating cylinders. Cylinders rotate in opposite directions to cancel any gyroscopic effects that otherwise make it difficult to keep them aimed toward the sun. Each would be about 4 miles in length, 5 miles in diameter, and 20 miles long, connected at each end by a rod via a bearing system. Their rotation would provide artificial gravity.
Yeah, so this was invented by a professor who, and I'll put this in general for you. Sorry, Tom, I didn't mean to double ping you there. This was invented by a professor in the 70s. As Gundam is a 70s series, this is 1970s science fiction at his university, with him and his students deciding to figure out how to create a place that was habitable in outer space. Read background a little bit. We're not going to read this whole thing, I promise you. Read background a little bit, Tom.
I'm scanning it to look for anything that's relevant, man.
It's fine. It's fine. Just go. I'll tell you when to stop.
While teaching undergraduate physics, he set his students on the task of designing large structures in outer space, the intent of showing that sustainable living in space could be possible. Several designs provide volumes large enough to be suitable for human habitation. Cooperative result resulted in a book in 1974, or an article, whatever.
Islands.
Yeah. And his described 3 reference designs nicknamed islands. One is a rotating sphere, a mile in circumference, with people living on the equatorial region. A later study at Stanford developed an alternative version, a toroidal shape, which is a donut, I believe.
Yeah, you can skip the...
Island 2, spherical design. Island 3, better known as the O'Neill cylinder, which we just described.
Yep. So say hello to every other colony except Zeon. Zeon does not get any actual sunlight. Any thoughts on that?
I don't know, wonder they're all bitter.
do you think they're all bitter and angry because they don't get any sun?
They don't get all that vitamin D, all crazy.
Yep, lack of
They had
sunlight gets us
they
all.
had photosynthetic plants.
Yeah.
They had agriculture. Doesn't make any sense, Miles.
So did we talk about it a little bit? Nearly all colonies in Universal Century, except the rare older colonies such as Moon. Don't worry about Moon. We'll talk about it. Are O'Neill Island 3 type cylindrical colonies. Most of these colony cylinders are open types with 3 mirror panels that reflect sunlight into the colony via transparent window walls, while the colonies inside 3 are closed type cylinders without any windows. Every colony has its own satellite modules for food production, energy generation, and industrial operations.
That's cool. Where do they get the resources?
All right, it's cool. Let's scroll down. Let's scan design, Tom, and we gotta be quick. Sorry, if you want me to read stuff.
I mean, honestly, Matt, like we are not a sci-fi concept podcast.
I know.
If you are familiar with sci-fi, you should know about an O'Neill cylinder, and you can kind of theorize how living in one would be.
So I'll say it just real quick, just the important things. The inhabitants would also keep themselves active and entertained by practicing current Earth sports such as skiing, sailing, and mountain climbing, thanks to the artificial gravity generated due to the cylinder's rotation. Artificial gravity. The cylinders rotate to provide artificial gravity of their inner surface. At the radius described by the O'Neill, the inhabitants would have to rotate about 28 times an hour to simulate a standard Earth gravity, an angular velocity of 2.8 degrees per second. Research on human factors and rotation reference frames indicate that such low rotation speeds, few people would experience motion sickness due to the Coriolis forces acting on the inner sphere. People would, however, be able to detect spinward and anti-spinward directions by turning their heads, and any dropped items would appear to be deflected by a few centimeters. The central axis of the habitat would be a zero gravity region as it was envisioned. Hey, early on in the 8th MS team, do you guys remember in episode 2 when Shiro and Mikhail get to Earth? They say something. They mentioned that, like, hey, the Earth here is like almost just like the colonies back home, but it's a little different. And I was paraphrasing that a little bit. There is so people in space do totally have gravity, so that shoots out our window, that shoots our theories out the window of like what is up with the DOP. But the gravity is a little bit different. If you drop a pencil in space, it drops about a few centimeters away from where it should be, and your muscles and body can tell it's slightly just an imitation of Earth's gravity. Yeah, and there's more here about artificial pressure and sunlight. Zeon does get sunlight in different ways. They just don't get direct sunlight. But this is what the people in Gundam are living in our little illustration here, which I'm going to save and bring up. Does anyone have any questions before we move on? I know I talked for a minute.
Nah, man.
All right, All right. But yeah, that is our kind of geopolitical situation here. Tom, we will talk about Solomon someday. For now, that's what they're living on. Do you all want to finish up with episode 2? No, the Nauvoo. Oh.
Mormon generation ship from Expanse.
Oh, okay.
I'm telling you, man, O'Neill cylinder. Like, as soon as that man came up with it, every other sci-fi author went, stolen. Thanks, dude.
That's cool. But yeah, the Gundam ones are, I don't want to say plagiarized, but they are a direct copy of the original O'Neill cylinder.
Loosely inspired.
Directly inspired, I'd say. But yeah, I've been talking too much. Back to the show, just so we finally got that off our chest, that no, they are not living in alternate dimensions where gravity is weird. They live in big space cylinders where gravity is just slightly off, and this will be brought up throughout Gundam over and over again, that gravity on Earth, like living on Earth, is something kind of special. Like, it's a lot of people are happy to live in space, they even prefer it better, but there's something about being on Earth that is definitively like the real thing. If we get to it in Victory Gundam, there's a scene where like there's these girls that have been living in space, and there's these guys that are there's two sisters that have been living in colonies, and there's these two dudes who have been living in space. Sorry, that are from Earth, and the girls are like, oh, what is Earth like? What are the like? What's the ocean and like gravity and all that like? And they're like, hey, come on, we'll take you to the beach when we get there. And they're trying to get with them, and then when they finally get to Earth, they're like, oh, the water's like salty and hurts my skin. And gravity feels weird, and they're like, oh, the guys are like, this didn't work out how we thought it was going. They hate this. anyways
that's cool. Where do they get the resources?
We skipped over it in the article. I'll just say it, the body, to save the immense costs of rocketing materials from Earth, these habitants
I do not care about these spaceship materials, Miles. I care about soil.
Yep. We skipped over it a little bit, but basically the colonies, it's covered in the O'Neill Cylinder article. The soil in the colony is real. They are self-sustaining environments. So
Okay, but you need to build that environment.
Yep.
So let's just.
They live on Halo rings, Tom. They live on Halo rings.
I am aware.
Yeah.
Are you aware of the mind-boggling amount of resources it would require to build 7 O'Neill cylinders, let alone a swarm of them around 7 different locations?
A lot, yeah.
Like an intrasolar amount of resources.
Yeah. Well, they did it. They figured it out.
No! Miles, I'm going to destroy my microphone. Because again, you introduced this series to me as everything has a canon explanation. And if your fundamental space orbital society doesn't work because there are not the resources to produce it.
Tom, I found an article off of the Gundam Reddit. Would you like to open it and read just that in the first comment for me?
Yes.
Yes, sir. Read the title and then...
How did they build 400 space colonies for 9 billion people in 20 years? Spoiler alert. The first comment is with colony builders. Hey, I'm going to come pick up my model later today. Totally unlock your door without looking out the peephole. I won't be armed.
They figured it out. They got enough dirt. They got enough minerals. I'll let you know right now, it is not Minovsky particles as the answer for that. We're not there yet. But, yeah. These are giant self-sustaining...
I scrolled... I'm not going to scroll anymore because there's going to be spoilers, I'm assuming. But third down, this guy says they moved a large asteroid from the asteroid belt into Earth orbit and mined it for materials. The asteroid Juno became Luna 2. Okay. Yeah. Even with asteroid, sure, that's the materials to build the exoskeleton of this one of these ships. But the soil to jet, even if you're doing hydroponics, there are so many things that you need to maintain a system like that you either cannot produce in space or you need to initially require from Earth. If we are building these because Earth is poisoned, you cannot get those initial supplies, or you cannot continue to re-up on those supplies when something in your closed system breaks, which it inevitably will.
So, as for how did they...
I do not buy this society. It doesn't make sense.
As for how did they initially do it, they figured it out. As for further resources... Maybe we should keep watching, going towards episode 3 now in our final 30 minutes. Are we all good? Kenny, Leo, I know me and Tom have been going back and forth here for a second.
Hey, you two shoot however much shit y'all gotta shoot. Tom, get his ass.
All right.
All good.
Any thoughts on this? Do you guys feel it's plausible?
Bro, I'm watching for giant robots. Yeah.
I'm here for Gundam fight.
Tom is very quickly established that he is handling the science aspect of this for all 3 of us. I am supporting Tom all the way.
The answer is a mix of initially building these millions of colonies or thousands. I'm not sure. We don't have an exact number. Building sides 1 through 7 was a mix of initially shipping resources from Earth and mining materials from the moon, asteroids, and other celestial bodies to make them. That's your answer. And then at some point they brought horses onto space. They got horses and cows and chickens.
Hey Miles.
Yeah.
That answer's like a bruised piece of fruit.
Yeah, I'm sorry. It's the answer. They did it.
Not buying it.
They did it. All right.
Episode 3.
We didn't say the episode 2 last time even. Episode 1, Child of Zeon. Episode 2, A Promise with Mother. Episode 3, Édouard and Sayla. Our kids escaped the Earth.
Yeah, and we time skip. She's 10 now. She's 10 and providing aid in a military field hospital. Totally chill. That's where I generally see 10-year-olds spending their time. She is less annoying as a 10-year-old. It seems like she should be older than 10.
Yeah, just a smidge.
It does.
Well, what's her name now?
Sayla.
Sayla, which Tom knows very well because
Yeah.
I named a placeholder.
And as soon as I heard that name, I was like, oh,
that's where it's
oh
from.
man, okay, I'm getting it now.
I used the placeholder name for that in the script. It may be the final
Yeah.
name, it may not be. And her brother
Is literally getting his Aryan lessons.
his name is Edward Mass. in
Okay, but
Sailor
he's
Moon.
he's getting Aryan he's getting
Yeah.
like what is it, the phrenology lessons.
Uncle Jimba.
Like he is getting lessons of like those people on Earth that were born with them broad noses are not, they don't have the same duty that we do.
From Uncle Jimba, who has escaped there with him.
Which this new types thing.
Yeah,
that
what
was
is
that
a
was
new
his
type?
dad's ideology.
Yeah, his dad was a philosopher and politician who believed in something called new types. Do you guys have any guesses of what a new type?
It seems to be evolving to fit a spaceborne environment, or at least evolving differently.
Kenny, Leo, you guys haven't talked in a minute. You got any thoughts? No pressure.
I think that new types is just a Gundam flavored word for Psyker, and that a bunch of them are going to come together and form one giant Gundam, and that will become the God Emperor of mankind.
Yeah.
Want to explain what a Psyker is for our non-Warhammer friends at home?
A Psyker is basically a space wizard who can tap into the other plane of existence that, hey, you don't want to tap into.
Yeah,
But they
'cause
got
sometimes
really
when
cool
you
stuff.
tap into it, your head explodes and a demon comes out.
Do you
Or
think
you
we'll be
lose
seeing...
an eye because you're trying to save your sons, and then that person you sold your eye to turns out and stabs you in the back.
Sanguinius!
Yeah.
But he gives us a little more,
Man,
So
too soon.
he gives us a little more info on. It seems that their ideology is that everybody should come up into space. See, like, because astronauts have talked about it, where like when you see Earth from space, you're struck by this whole like sudden feeling of oneness. It seems he's taken that to an almost religious level, and is like, once everyone has experienced this, we will finally evolve into the Ubermensch.
And how
Like,
how do you think Casball
Telepathic
friggin...
space.
Like that screenshot you just posted,
Mogging
exactly
him.
that moment is when I wrote in my notes, he is what Hitler had in mind. Like,
That is
this boy is so Aryan.
Yeah. Sorry, I keep
Like-
saying Casfall. This is Edward Mass now. Sorry, Edward. No longer Casfall Daikun. Who's Casfall? This is Edward and his sister, Sayla Mass.
But his name was Shar.
But okay, are
who's
they
Char?
trying to make Miles? Are they trying to make telepaths, space mutant humans, or just a straight up Ubermensch? Like I couldn't nail it down.
That's a very good question, Tom. Maybe these telepaths are bringing in the raw materials they need from another dimension to make the space colonies keep running.
Hey man, maybe those space colonies are one giant cube Allspark style.
Yeah.
Well, dude, you can't give me shit for alternate dimensions when you have Children of the Corn disappearing on Christmas.
Yeah.
Like-
If you remember that, what was up with that?
They may be telepaths.
Well, do you think those kids from that first episode are telepaths? They're talking about being connected.
That is a type of Psyker.
It also is very weird that he's reading basically this Bible he has about Edward's dad. He's reading his dad's philosophy to his son.
Yeah, but I mean this guy definitely has like he feels like he took him in as a ward, and then like as he did that, like he used his last of his political capital to get this kid safe, and then he's like, I need to do my duty and make sure that you grow up the man your father would want you to be.
Yeah.
And his kid's sitting here just like, all right, like I'll listen to your. I think he probably believes it. He probably has memories of his father. Also, I love how fat this merchant lord is.
Yeah,
it's
his
so
name,
perfect.
His name
That
is
little
Don
Italian mustache that isn't at all signaling anything.
Fat rich man.
Like-
His name is Don Diablo
Don
Max.
Diablo.
Yeah, and I wish I had learned his name because I just have him down as Fat Guy Surrogate Papa. But I like him. He has a spine.
Yeah, they're
And-
sheltering.
And he's like,
That's
no,
his
they're not
fucking name.
leaving until they're ready.
Yeah,
It's like I'm not gonna let them leave.
He's sheltering these little what's the
Yes.
name of the family that the Russian family that had to flee when the revolution happened. I forget their names, but they're basically in that
Yeah.
situation, an Anastasia situation.
I completely butchered this man's name. I have it written down as such in my notes.
Did you have it like
Hold on.
Diablo?
No. I was pretty close, but just wrong enough.
Yeah, well, that's the whole reason I bring him up is because, Jumbarol, the
Jimba.
the old crazy guy, I'm assuming an arms manufacturer, the manufacturer of the turtle fighters, the double tanks, and the gun tanks at least, are offering to fund his counterattack on the Zabi.
Yeah, so
or at least supply him with the arms to do so.
Yeah, so we can skip there. I was just gonna say, where do you guys think they're at?
Earth.
It says it in the beginning.
They are in Andalusia, Spain. They're in Spain on Earth. But yeah, he's talking with Jimba later, and he's talking about how Anaheim Electronics, which do you guys remember from the 8th MS team? Anaheim Electronics builds all of the Earth Federation military stuff. Anaheim Electronics is helping him fund a retaliatory move against the zombies.
Can I get a R? Can I get a A? Can I get a T?
It's crazy is that they legit bring up, they say military industrial complex or like the equivalent there. And we have this nice shot of, I'm trying to find it in my footage right now, of a core booster, which is that Federation machine you saw in the 8th MS team. Sorry, keep talking. I'm talking.
Yeah, I mean, just jumping ahead a bit. Sayla still thinks her mom's coming?
Yeah, what do you mean? Mom said she's coming back in 100 Moons.
It's been 43.
Hey, Lil Lucifer.
By the way, 100 Moons is about 8 years.
Lil Lucifer's friggin' a beast, bro.
Yeah, so she's got out Sahara fever, which just sounds like a literature equivalent of deadly disease.
Yeah, she's got deadly disease. She's got whatever Itachi had in Naruto.
The sick flu.
Yeah, the sick flu.
And I like little Adolf here. I'm kind of rooting for him because he does a real smart kid thing here. There are dogs barking outside, and then the dogs stop barking, and he's the first one to react at that. As just what in the actual Scooby-Doo suits of armor start attacking him.
Yeah. I love that. We can skip past that.
I just really liked that little detail of like, no, this kid's with it.
Yeah.
Like,
he's got a good head on his shoulders.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not skip past what you're talking about. I was just gonna say I finally found the screenshot for you, Tom. Here is Anaheim Electronics when Jimba and Papa-san Mass are talking about it, building gun tanks and our famous double-barreled tank.
And I saw some turtle fighters before that.
Yeah, the core booster.
Turtle fighter. Yeah.
Let me find it. But so later on that night he notices.
Yeah, it seems like they're getting attacked by mercenaries, zombie agents, whatever.
Who have found them on Earth.
There's a dude who was like, well, there's decorative armor in this house. I should probably put it on and attack these kids with a sword.
So
wild decision there, buddy. And then a 12-year-old stabs you in the visor.
So canon check, I think this whole sequence is made up. I like to think that Édouard literally fought off this dude in a
He just
swordsmanship
absolutely
match.
jobbed this guy.
Yeah.
Like you're in a full suit of armor fighting a 12-year-old and he beat you.
I do not have any sort of confirmation that happened in lore. We know that this is where Jimbo was assassinated and killed. We also know that this is where
Yeah, but Teobal Amass somehow survived the fall out that window.
Not for very long, it seems. But I also do not know the canonicity of this guy in this suit of armor, who he this one mercenary who decided to be a thespian and put on a suit of armor and start killing everyone with a sword, friggin' Michael Myers style. I don't think that's canon, but if it is, someone please correct me down below.
Somebody told him they'd pay extra if he, sent a message.
Cassilia said, "Listen, dude, if you do this, it would be hella funny."
But yeah, then we cut away.
He has a
and
sword
I just love the fact that somebody built a world as a theme park, and then called it Texas World.
Texas.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that. I love that idea. That somebody was just like, I want to build a theme park. What's the theme? Texas.
Yeah, we got Texas Colony, which is being brought to their attention by a developer named, I cannot find it right now. Keep talking.
I do have in my notes then that my assumption was that sides are some sort of orbital infrastructure or hub that these Space-Noid ships hang around.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I acknowledge Director Giran. Actually, I'll give his name. I'll give him a name. He's not just Corpo Lord anymore. He got a name.
We get to meet the guy who is building this colony, or at least letting them go up to this place, since they now have to flee Earth. His name is Shu Yashima, and he has a daughter named Mirai Noah. That's this this guy here, and his equally whites of the eye missing daughter, Mirai.
Yeah. Yeah, because that's not going to come up later.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
She's not at all going to be involved with little Hitler or anything.
So I'm letting you know right now, every time the show stops and is like, "Oh, who are you?" and then the character turns around and says their name, that character is going to be something. It is very much a modern prequel in that sort of way. But
Well, Hitler, such a scamp. And then we go back to what Hama is her name, but just Smooth Jazz, and Smooth Jazz, Super Spy, and a killer singer.
Mirai Yashima, not Mirai No. Oops, spoilers. Oops.
But I'm all about her, man. She rocks.
Yeah. Crowley Haman.
Crowley Hama, and then Ramba just gets in a bar fight. Just like he came there looking for a drink and to throw hands, and he already finished his drink.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, also not to skip past it, just real quick. Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm trying to catch up as we go on. Also, straight up, just waving the full like Reichstag flag there. As Giran is giving this big speech, and him and Cassilia have fully changed into their we'll say Austrian Prussian uniforms here. But yeah, Ramba goes down and gets into a bar fight with who?
I do not have that in my. I'm assuming, if I remember correct, Federation soldiers.
They are Federation soldiers stationed on Munzo, who are very much not respecting the place.
Yeah.
Which kind
and then he just beats their asses too.
Dude, he's shoved
this scene, and the fact that he's the same voice actor as Askeladd, that I literally have it. All right, you deserve a name. Ramba Rawl it is then.
Tough guy. Does not clearly not like. Do you think he hates the Federation more, or do you think he hates the zombies more? Or why would he hate the Federation?
I think he hates incompetent and stupid people, no matter their side.
It seems like him and Crowley didn't. Do you think they went to prison for helping the Daikuns escape, or no?
No.
No.
You think they just came back and have been living here on Munzo side 3 with their money? Also, this is very confusing. Okay, so remember how I said each one of those colonies had a name? Munzo is both the name for side 3, the cluster of colonies, and this specific colony that would later also both change their name to Zeon. It's kind of like
father, the planet, or me.
Yes, it's literally a Vegeta situation. But as we wrap up here.
Yeah, so I got some questions about this last scene, Miles.
Yes, sir.
So Rambarol is fetched by some guys to observe what you can assume is a weapon test.
Not just some guys, Dozel himself shows up, and very humbly, he seems like the chillest of the Zeons besides his brother getting blown up.
Yeah. But he's like, hey, come check out our Mobile Worker 1.
Yes.
Which is
Kenny,
like, oh, look at that Zaku head. I wonder what this is. Pretty cool debut scene. I liked it.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. I know I have to bring it up since it's fighting a gun tank. What do the Federation guys have mobile suits?
Well, no.
No.
Because remember, Zeon made them first, so what would this thing be?
I mean, this would be the precursor to a Zaku.
Yeah.
This would be not only the precursor to the Zaku, this is the precursor to the first mobile suit ever.
Which, do we already have Minovsky particles at this point?
Well,
are those featured in these ships?
Well, what's going out?
Well, and that's why I said I had questions, because those cables don't really make sense, because if they're for fuel or providing power, it continues to move and fight after it severs them in one of its own attacks.
So I think there may be like a power supply, like an internal battery. I don't know.
I mean, that's my justification for it, was like maybe it's feeding sensor data back to them because it's a weapons test. But if we don't have Minovsky particles or whatever at this point, then how are you powering this giant lumbering beast?
So, can I put your heart at ease real quick? Actually, keep talking about it. You guys talk about that.
They do say a speed of 30 equals standard walking pace. Is that kph?
I do not.
Or American?
I don't know.
Miles, man, this is what you're here for, man.
That's what I'm here for. Let me.
I'm gonna go ahead and assume that it's kph.
Mm-hmm.
Which, like, okay. Let me look up the speed of an Abrams tank real quick.
Okay. Kenny, Leo, what do you guys think of it?
Okay.
I mean,
Sorry, an Abrams top speed of 72 kilometers per hour, and on paved roads that's 48 kilometers, on paved roads 48 kilometers an hour cross country. So that's about 30 miles an hour cross country, 45 miles an hour on paved roads. So if this thing is walking miles per hour, about the same speed as an Abrams tank. If it's walking kilometers per hour, an Abrams is outpacing it significantly.
Huh.
America.
Fuck yeah.
Keep going.
No, I don't quite, like you said, it's the precursor to everything, so they're still fighting the Federation gun tanks.
Well, no combat yet. There has not been any
well, no,
official
but the
combat.
testing,
Yeah, the test is clearly a combat test.
They're testing, They're building up for war, presumably, huh?
Yeah, calling it a mobile worker, but why would you need a worker unit to fight gun tanks?
Well, here's the question.
To hide it from the taxmen.
Yeah, do you think they know? Oh, go. Keep on, please.
I'm assuming that there's still some amount of, if there are Federation forces on Munzo, and they're kind of being dickish and seem like an occupying force, like, I feel like we're in a kind of, hey, you're failing to police yourselves, so we're gonna send in some of our own people to make sure that you're not building weapons of mass destruction or anything over there, wink wink. And then they're hiding that as calling this a mobile worker 1. Like, don't look behind door number 1. Go look over there. But
all right, so canon check on the mobile worker. That is a really awesome mobile suit that is awesome and fits this show and I think is awesome. Unfortunately, it is not canon to the Gundam universe. I just spent the last 3 minutes having you guys stall. This is one of those things that it's like nitty gritty. This is going to mean nothing to you guys. The first mobile suit in proper Gundam you see was not that mobile worker. It was the ZI-XA3 Crabman, which you can see in that picture right there. If you have the Gundam wiki, you can find it. It is from MSVR Legend of whatever, MSVR Legend of the Universal Century Heroes, the Fabulous Shin Matsuna manga, which is a manga. But the first mobile suit was that thing, not this cool mobile worker design we got to see there. There's also some really cool things on how it was made. It was indeed made in secret by the Zeonic Company, which is what starts off as this military contractor that I think is actually run by the Zombies. I don't know if it's independent or not. There's a lot of information for Tom there on that page, but it's in Japanese. But that was the first mobile suit. It was not this cool mobile worker here, but this thing would eventually become the Zaku 1 and then the standard mass-produced Zaku 2 that we know and love. But yeah, produced by the Minovsky Company and a scientist by the name T.Y. Elliott. Sorry, T.Y. Minovsky, who you cannot see right there. Gentlemen, do you have any final thoughts on this episode?
Little Hitler. Such a scam. Not bad. This was a better intro to a series than 8th MS Team, I think. It got my theory craft and brain firing. It gave me a lot of info. I think this is going to be a very different type of show, but I think it may be more indicative of what we get most of the time with a little more political intrigue and a little less stuff blowing up.
Gotcha. What about the rest of y'all?
Definitely interested to see where this goes, and how he turns into Char.
Who's Char? I don't know who are Chars. I only know an Edward.
Must have been the wind.
Yeah. What about you, Kenny?
Pretty good so far. Nice to see how all of this builds up to the first series. So, yeah. And we get to see a Haru unit, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. After the credits. Sorry, our last thing. What happens after the credits?
They're getting ready to go to Loom, if I'm correct.
Yeah, they're getting ready to go to Loom, which is where our Texas colony is, and we see we see a little boy, and he's playing with a little toy called Haro. This little kid and his dad in this airport here. What do you guys think of him?
See, Miles, you told us that we needed to watch past the credits after I'm pretty sure all of us had already watched all of them.
I have not yet at that point, so I'm like, oh,
Okay.
cool.
Yeah.
I didn't watch it yet. I'm like, all right, cool. Thanks for the heads up.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot
Lovely
about
mascot robot. Honestly, I want one.
that. Oh, it's a cute one.
I would
these
love one.
Stupid little fucking things. Yeah.
Yeah, double O.
Yeah.
It looks like it'd be really fun to kick.
They're our Gundam mascot. They're all over it, and this little boy loves him too. This little brown-haired,
Okay, so I am right.
brown-haired boy
I'm
right
not
here.
gonna stop there. Uh,
And with his dad urging him along the way, I think that is it for our episodes, huh? Well, do you guys have any final thoughts? Any predictions before we call things off here for tonight? No?
Nah, man, just war crimes.
Just war crimes? All right. Well, hey, next week I guess if we do 3 and 3, we'll just keep doing with that. We've got episodes 4, 5, and 6, Goodbye Artesia, Char and Garma Rises coming up next time. Gentlemen, thank you so much for being here. Any final questions or anything else before we send things off?
Your society doesn't make sense. Hi.
Go with the Emperor.
They figured it out. You make the space dirt, the good dirt. All right, gentlemen, ladies, gentlemen, everyone in between at home watching, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.